G'day, Jason the Middle-Aged Gear Junkie here. A bit over a year ago, I bought a Vox AC4 amplifier for quite a decent price locally. And while I like that amplifier and I think it gave me a good idea of what the whole Vox sound was about, I wanted to upgrade that to probably an AC15 at some stage. But the opportunity came up to buy an AC30CX for less than half of its price brand new, and that was something I couldn't say no to. So I ended up buying the AC30. This one is the CX, which means that it has the Alnico Blue speakers. The Vox AC30 really was the sound of the British invasion from the 60s. Bands like obviously the Beatles and the Who, the Kinks, Rolling Stones, they all played Vox AC30s at least for a part of their career. And then after that we had Brian May from Queen and Rory Gallagher and of course The Edge from U2, who all relied on the Vox AC30 for their signature sounds. Part of the reason I bought this amplifier is because it tracks very well in the studio. It's voiced very, very well for recording. It cuts out a lot of the extra bottom end that you don't really need in most guitar tones, and it really brings out all of your pick attack, and it's fantastic to bring out all of your single notes when you're doing single note lines or if you're arpeggiating chords. If you're a finger player like I am sometimes, again, the extra top end really helps to bring out those single notes. These amplifiers sound great clean, but when you wind up that gain a bit and you get that sort of Vox broken up sound, that's a sound within itself. It's absolutely brilliant. These amps have two channels, top boost and normal. The top boost channel is the one that everybody associates with this amplifier, and it has a 2-band EQ, has bass and treble, but it is a bit of a balancing act between the two because particularly with the treble, as you start to turn it up, it starts to cut bass. So you really have to find the right balance between those two knobs. It also then has tremolo, which is bias tremolo, which in my personal opinion is my favorite type of tremolo. And it also has a reverb tank, which also has a tone knob. There are separate pre-gain pots for both the top boost and normal channels with a master volume at the end. So if you want that broken up sound, just wind up that pre-gain on either one of those two channels and then just dial in as much master gain as you need. There's also a master tone cut. So if that brightness is just a bit too much, you can start to wind in a bit of that tone cut to take some of it out. I'm going to play a chord progression through both channels with the gain set roughly the same so that you can hear the difference between these two channels. Some people don't believe that the Vox AC30 is a good pedal platform. I beg to differ, and I might even do a whole video on pedals that sound great through a Vox amplifier. But for now, I'm going to show you a couple of effects that I think work really, really nicely through this amplifier. So first up, I'm using my Strymon Big Sky. I've got it set to a modulated hall reverb on the neck pickup of my guitar, which should sound fairly dull, but because of that extra top end, it really brings out those individual notes. And I think that extra top end really helps to bring this reverb to life. For this next example, I'm using the Seriatone Centura, which is a really high quality Klon replica, and I'm going into the Strymon timeline on an analog delay. Vox amplifiers don't use something called negative feedback, and that basically increases headroom. So by having less headroom, these amplifiers really want to break up. They can break up at fairly low volumes, and you get that beautiful classic Vox overdrive. The Vox name has been bought and sold many times over the years, and for some people, it's not a Vox unless you buy a vintage one from Britain made between the years A and B. I'm not as fussy, to be honest. I think it sounds like a Vox. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if we A-beat it with a vintage one, the vintage one is probably going to be better, but I think for most of us, it will make do. You know, it's not an amplifier I'm going to use all the time. It's one that I'm going to use for very specific reasons, and I think that this particular amplifier does what I want it to do quite well. One of the modern conveniences this amplifier has is an effects loop. So if you want to use your delays and reverbs with it, but you also want a bit of that Vox crunch, you can put it after the drive and it won't affect your modulation and ambient effects. So if you enjoyed this video or you found it interesting in any way, please give it a like, and please comment below as well if you've got any tips and tricks for using a Vox AC30 or any questions for that matter. You can pick up some Middle-Aged Gear Junkie merchandise by hitting the links that I've left in the description below. I've also left a link to the Middle-Aged Gear Junkie Facebook page. You are welcome to join. Other than that, my name is Jason. I hope you have a wonderful day. See you later.